Haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Vov Amud Aleph, 8 lines from the top. The Gemara returns to our Mishnah, which states that we are mafrishin. We separate the Kohen Gadol 7 days prior to Yom HaKippurim. We take him away from his house and we put him in the Lishkas Palhedrin. Ask the Gemara, Lama mafrishin? Why do we separate him? Ask the Gemara, Lama mafrishin? Why do we go ahead and separate him? Kidekam, like that we said before. Either Rabbi Yochanan Kedislei, either Reish Lakish Kedislei, either according to Rabbi Yochanan, because we have a precedent that we learn out from Miluim, the 7 days of inauguration prior to the 8th day of the Avodah of the Mishkan by Aaron and Kohanim and Bonov. Also, according to Reish Lakish, whose precedent is Har Sinai, whereby Moshe Rabbeinu had the cloud that enveloped him for 6 days before that. Answers the Gemara, Hochi Komar, Mi Beisoy Lamo Perish. Why does he separate not just from his house but from his wife? Let him bring his wife to the Lishkas Palhedrin there as well. Answers the Gemara, Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Oimer, Shema Timotze Ishtoi Sofek Nida V'Yavalel. Perhaps his wife will be found to be a Sofek Nida. Maybe she saw Dam, maybe she did not. She's not sure. And then he was Boel Aleho. In which case he would then become Tameh and be disqualified for the Avodah. Since the disqualification would require him to be Tameh for 7 days, thereby it would be a problem. We'd have to separate him there for 7 days. Ask the Gemara, Otu Berish'iye Askinon. Are we dealing with Rishoim? If his wife had a suffix of her being in Nida, whether she saw Dam or not, when we talk about a Kohen Gadol, would then be Bo'aleh misafek. We're talking about an Isser Kares. Ella, says the Gemara, Shema Yavoi al Ishtoi v'timotze safek Nida. No, what the Brisa means to say is perhaps he will come and be together with his wife, and then is determined that she was in Safek Nida, that immediately afterwards she saw some Dam. Amur Rabbanan Kamed Rav Chizda. Keman, who does this opinion follow like? Kerabi Akiva. The Omar Nida mituma mitama is boyalo. Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion that the Nida is mitama, also the boyel es hanida. The Rabbanon ha'amre ein nida metame es boyalo, because Rabbanon are cholik and Rabbi Akiva. The Farshim explain that based on the Gemara Nida, when a woman, right after she had been together with her husband, she uses 2 aidim. One aid that is going to then wipe him, and one for her. If he is to be found blood, then both he and her are going to be Tamei Vadai. If she were to find blood, it depends. If she checked immediately upon the finishing of them being together, immediately, then they are both Tamei Vadai. If she checks a little bit later, meaning right after, not immediately afterwards, a little bit after that, that means when she already left the bed, then we say that she is Tameh and he is Tameh misafek for 7 days. And if it's even later than that she sees Dam, then she is Tameh and she is Metameh him as the Boel Nida me'es le'es for a 1 day period. According to Rabbi Akiva, he is Tameh even for 7 days. So here the Gemara is saying that our Mishnah then must go according to Rabbi Akiva. Amru Rav Chizda says, Afilu temu Rabbanan. Even you can say the Rabbanan, because Ad kan lo pligi Rabbanan aleh Rabbi Akiva ela be'achar achar. When did the Chacham argue on Rabbi Akiva? That is in the latter type of checking. That means when it was even after that she had then came off the bed. It wasn't after she came off the bed, but even after that, In other words, the period of time me'es la'es before that is metame, the boil hanida. That's where Rabbi Akiva says he is still tummy for the 7 days, and according to the Chachamim, not. Aval bechad achar moidule. But if she were to check herself and find blood just right after leaving the bed, then even the Chachamim would agree that he would have the status of being tummy for 7 days. Omer Rabbi Zera said, Shmamina boil nida einoi kinida v'toivel b'yoim. He says we can derive from here, from our Mishnah, the very fact that we have to separate the Kohen Gadol for 7 days, that it must be that he is not like the nida, but rather he can be toivel b'yom. The nida can only be toivel at night. She counts midiraisa 7 days. 7 days from the very first time that she sees dam. Then at night, the subsequent night after the 7 days, she is toivel in the mikvah. And then she needs Herav Shemesh the night afterwards. We are saying over here that the Boil Nida is not like that. The Boil Nida counts 7 days. He's telling me for 7 days, misafek at least. And on the 7th day, even before the Shkia, he's able to be toivel in the mikvah. And then he'll have Herav Shemesh, whereby the next day, he'll already then be able to do the Avodah. The Iyamr is boil nida kinida, because if you're going to say the one who is boiled the nida has the same status as the nida in that he can only be toiled at night, just like the nida could, then Emas Davil, when is he to be toivel belelya at night? As lamachar hechi avid avoida, how would he ever be able to do the avoida the next day? He would need Herav Shemesh. V'haboy Herav Shemesh. In other words, just like the nida, who can only be toiveles at night after the 7 days, if he would also be required to be toivel at night, then he'd have to wait 1 whole day later until Herav Shemesh, whereby the next day he would not be then able to do the avodah. So therefore, we can prove from here the fact that it's 7 days and not 8 days of separation, that he, as the boil nida, is not like the nida because he can be toivel during the day. Elulav shmamina boil nida eino kinida. Says the Gemara Rav Shimi Mineherdo Omar, he says afilu tema boil nida kinida. Even if you want to say that the boil nida can only be toivel at night, just like the nida, the mafrishin on lei sho achas samach lishkia achamo, because we're talking about over a case over here that indeed he separated for 7 days plus. In other words, right before the shkia, he already began his separation, his being paresh. So that we're mafrishing him is a drop more than that, which means that that little bit more before the shkia is already considered to be another day. And since it's only a small amount of time, we still call it 7 days before Yom Kippurim. Meisvei asked the Gemara, Kol chayvei tevilos, tfilosan bayom. Anybody who's chayv tefillah, the general rule is they're obligated to they're able to make the tefillah bayom during the day. However, nida v'yoledes b'tevilosan balayla. The nida, as well as the one who gave birth, they must be toiveles at night. Ask the Gemara, nida in boil nida loy. You see over here that it's only the nida that's specified over here that is tovelas at night. It's mashma, the one who is boiled the nida is in the first category of everybody else who's able to be tovel during the day. And therefore there will be a kasha on Rav Shimi min Herdo, who says that indeed he is like the boil nida is like the nida, can only be tovel at night. So here we have a kasha. Says the Gemara, nida v'kol da'asim miribuya. It's not a kasha because when it says over here nida and yoledis, the nida includes everybody that is also misrabe with the nida, and therefore the boil nida who became tameh as a result of the nida also must be toivel at night, as Rav Shimi min Erdar maintains. Meisvei, the Gemara asks from a brisa on Rav Shimi min Erdar, Bal Keri kemaga b'sheretz. A Bal Keri has the same status of Magid B'Sheretz, Boel Nida Kim Tmei Meis. My love L'Tvila. Are we not talking about Tvila? And here we see that just as the Tmei Meis is somebody who is able to be toivel during the day, so too the Boel Nida can be toivel during the day. Kasha on Rav Shimi. Answers the Gemara Loi. Here we're talking about Letumason in regards to their Tuma. In other words, the Bal Keri, just as somebody who has contact with a Sheretz, has the din of being tamei as a rishon, and he's tummy during that day, at night he's already going to be tahor. Similarly, the boil nida is going to be an avatuma when he has contact with the tmei mace, like a tmei mace, and for 7 days. So that's what we're talking about over here in the Brisa. Ask the Gemara. The Gemara now asks, Tumason behed yiksibu. If you're telling me it's about their tuma, that the boiled nida has a requirement of 7 days, that's what the chiddush of this Brisa is. Ksibuhu. It's already written, Hai tumas shiva, ksiv behei, v'hai tumas shiva, ksiv behei. It's written both places that there's a 7-day requirement of tuma that we have both by the tmei mace as well as by the boil nida. The pasuk says, Gabe ksiv behei. It's written in the first pasuk. It states, V'im shocha yishkav ish oisa. If a man will lie with her, usi nidasa alav, and she is in a state of nida, v'tamei shivas yamim, v'kol hamishkav asher yishkav alav titma. So he'll be tamei for 7 days. So we already have a verse explicitly saying that he's tamei for 7 days. V'hai tumas shiva ksiv bei. It's also written in the verse, Hanogei b'meis lekol nefesh adam v'tamei shivas yamim. Anybody who touches a mace becomes tamei for 7 days. So that's already explicit. Why do we have the Brisa teaching us that? On top of Vav and Beis, Elolav letfiloson. Is it not therefore talking about tefillah? In which case we go back to a kasha on Rav Shimon Nerdo, because Rabbi Shimon said that the boil nida can go ahead and be toivel at night, whereas we're saying from this brisa we see clearly not. He's doimet to a tmei mace who's also toivel during the day. Gemara says loy la'olam it is letumason, and therefore it's not going to be a kasha on Rav Shimi. Why? Because seif tzrichalei. We need the seif of this brisa. Ella to teach me shechomer mimenu boil nida. The boil nida has a chumrah even more than the one who's tamei mace. Shemitame mishkav umoshav betumas kala letame oichlim mashkin. The one who is boil nida, he has a tuma of mishkav umoshav. That means when he lays or he puts his weight on something, whether sitting or leaning or lying down on something, not only does the thing that he lies it down upon become tamei, but any layer underneath will also become tamei. But over here, in regards to the boil nida, it's slightly lighter than the regular zav or zava, in that he'll be a rishon letuma to mitame rak oichlin v'mashkin. The Gemara now brings a brisa to continue to ask of Avshini min herdo, proving against him that indeed the boil nida can be toivel during the day and it's not like a nida. Toshma, the Tani Rabbi Chia, hazov v'hazova v'hamitzora v'hamitzoras uboyel nida v'tmei meis tvilosen bayoim. Nida v'yoledet tvilosen balayla. Here it's explicit in this brisa that when the boil yoim is toivel, it's during the day, and the nida, on the other hand, is tovelas at night. The Gemara concludes, Tiyufta, indeed it's a refutation of Shin Nerdo, and therefore, indeed, the Kohen Gadol is separated 7 days before Yom Kippurim, and it's 7 days without adding an additional time in between before the Shkia, because we're saying that after counting 7 days, even before the Shkia of the 7th day, he's able to be Toivil, and then have Herav Shemesh at night on the next day, which would be Yom Kippurim, where it would be then somebody who's mutter to do the Avodas Hayoim.